Right now, in early January 2026, Australia is a continent literally split in two by its weather. It's a tale of profound, dangerous extremes. While one part of the country is bracing for what can only be described as a biblical-scale deluge, the other half is staring down the barrel of a terrifying inferno. So let's break down this tale of two Australias, a continent on the brink.
It's kind of wild, isn't it? How can one single country face such drastically different emergencies at the exact same time? Up in the tropical north, you've got this relentless stream of moisture threatening to unleash just immense flooding. Meanwhile, you go down south, and a blistering heat wave is creating the kind of catastrophic fire conditions that are, frankly, seared into the national memory. It's a perfect storm of opposing extremes.
And that's exactly what we're going to dive into here. One single landmass, grappling with two totally different but equally dangerous weather crises. And, a scenario like this stretches emergency services incredibly thin and really tests the resilience of communities all the way from the tropical coastlines down to the southern bushlands.
Okay, let's start up in the north. We're going to break down exactly what is going on in Queensland, where just a massive volume of rainfall is lining up to drench a landscape that is already completely soaked. This is creating a really significant and escalating flood threat for the far north.
And look, this isn't just a forecast. The rain is already here. It's started. Some places, like Halifax and the Herbert River area, have already been hit with up to 250 millimeters just overnight. Townsville has been absolutely drenched, Palm Island has been hit hard, and believe it or not, this is really just the opening act for what's shaping up to be a much, much larger event.
Forecasters are looking at this as a two-part system. So part one, which is happening right now, is what they call a convergence zone. That's basically where winds collide, forcing all this moist air up and creating persistent, heavy rain. That's dumping all over the area south of Townsville. But part two, that's the main event, and it kicks in next week. The focus is going to shift north as a developing tropical low out in the Coral Sea starts to aim what is basically a fire hose of moisture directly at the Cassowary and Daintree coasts.
And the numbers we're talking about for that second phase, they're just staggering. We are not talking about 500 millimeters over the course of a week. No. We're talking about the potential for 100 to 200 millimeters a day, maybe even getting up to 500 millimeters in a single 24-hour period. That is an absolutely immense amount of water.
When you zoom out and look at the cumulative totals, it just becomes astronomical. Over the next 10 days, the models are now consistently calling for over 1,000 millimeters. That is a full meter of rain for the hardest hit areas. And this isn't just one rogue model. All the major forecast models are in agreement on this. Places like Innisfail and Mission Beach are right in the firing line.
But here's the real question, right? Far North Queensland gets heavy rain all the time. It's the wet season. So what makes this particular event so much more threatening? Well, the answer isn't just about how much rain is about to fall. It's about the state of the ground it's falling on.
The key idea here is something called ground saturation. Weeks and weeks of consistent, heavy rain have left the entire ecosystem, the soil, the creeks, the catchments, completely full. The best way to think of it is like a sponge that is already totally drenched. You can't put any more water into it. There's simply nowhere for any new water to go. Every single drop from here on out becomes runoff.
And this, right here, shows you exactly how dangerous that is. Just last week, Mission Beach got an unbelievable 1,300 millimeters of rain. And yet, the Tully River only had minor flooding. That just shows you how much water the region can normally handle. But now, because we've hit that saturation point, a forecast of only 500 millimeters could trigger moderate or even major flooding. Less rain is about to have a much, much bigger impact.
Now let's be super clear about the system that's driving all this. A tropical low is forming out in the Coral Sea. But at this stage, none of the major models expect it to spin up into a powerful, destructive cyclone with crazy winds. It's likely going to stay broad. Its primary threat, its whole purpose really, is to act like a massive engine, just scooping up moisture and dumping it relentlessly on the coast. The danger here is water, not wind.
Okay, so while all that's going on, let's shift our attention to the southeast. While the north deals with that organized deluge, the atmosphere here is way more volatile. A different kind of threat is brewing, with widespread and potentially severe thunderstorms forecast for the next few days across multiple states. And this threat really unfolds day by day. So, on Saturday, you're going to see storms popping up all along the ranges of New South Wales, with Canberra potentially in the firing line. Then, Sunday, the activity gets a bit more focused, maybe more intense, right around that Queensland-New South Wales border. But then we look at Monday, and that's shaping up to be a potentially big storm day, with some pretty significant activity across northeastern New South Wales and stretching out into Queensland.
So what are these storms going to be like? Well, with really high dew points, that's just a measure of how much moisture is in the air. They'll have a ton of fuel for heavy rain. So yeah, some could be serious rain dumpers. Intense lightning is definitely on the cards too. But there is one thing preventing a major widespread severe outbreak. There's just not enough instability in the atmosphere. That said, some localized pockets, especially in New South Wales around Orange, Parkes, and Dubbo, could absolutely see storms that reach severe criteria.
But while the north and southeast are bracing for water, a completely different and maybe even more terrifying threat is building. We're going to shift our focus now from deluge to drought, from floods to fire. As the north soaks, a dangerous multi-day heat wave is creating extreme and deeply concerning fire conditions. The south is preparing to burn.
I mean, just look at these numbers. They are absolutely searing. By next Wednesday and Thursday, this heat is really going to peak. We're talking 44 degrees for Mildura, 41 for Adelaide. But it gets even hotter as you go inland. Outback South Australia pushing towards 48 degrees, and parts of the Gascoyne and Western Australia a blistering 49 degrees. This is widespread, significant, and frankly, dangerous heat.
But here's the thing that's really concerning. Extreme fire danger isn't just about heat. It's a dangerous recipe, and next week, all the ingredients are there. First, you've got the scorching temperatures. Second, you've got incredibly dry air that primes the landscape to burn. And third, the real kicker, strong, gusting northerly winds are forecast to blow up to 55 kilometers an hour. You combine those three things, and you get an absolutely massive fire danger rate. And to really put this into perspective, listen to this assessment from forecaster Josh at Cyclones OZ. He said it's definitely the worst that I've seen in a couple of years, resembling a similar setup to what we saw around Christmas, New Year's, 2019 into 2020. That reference to the Black Summer fires is incredibly sobering. It just underscores how serious this setup is. This is not your typical summer heat wave. This is a setup for potentially catastrophic conditions.
So what you have is from one end of the country to the other, Australia is on high alert. You've got a nation preparing for two completely different emergencies happening at the same time. And that is a complex and really challenging situation for authorities and communities alike.
And this isn't just a forecast. The official warnings tell the story. The Bureau of Meteorology has flood warnings all across Queensland. There are active severe thunderstorm warnings out for New South Wales, the ACT, and Queensland. And of course, heat wave and fire danger warnings are being raised for WA, South Australia, Victoria, and New South Wales. I mean, it truly covers the whole country.
So what can you actually do to stay safe? Well, the advice is completely different depending on where you are. If you're in the north, the message is crystal clear. Prepare for flooding. Have a plan for what you'll do if you get cut off. Stock up on essentials. But if you're in the south, the message is equally urgent. Prepare for fire. Review your bushfire survival plan right now. And maybe most importantly, do everything humanly possible to prevent a spark, because any fire that starts could be absolutely disastrous.
What's happening in Australia this week is a perfect case study in extreme simultaneous weather. It stretches resources, it tests everyone's resolve, and it really highlights a new reality of what it means to be prepared. And it forces all of us to confront a really profound challenge for the years ahead. As these kinds of events become more common, how does a nation effectively prepare for everything, everywhere, all at once? Thank you for joining us.